Hello guys, part 2 of how I designed the Winter Conference. Let's go. So now I'm going to explain what I did with Instagram. When I started ideating what Instagram would look like, it was also a way of me testing the visual elements that I defined before to show Mariana and Florian, who was the head of events. So I started on Figma. I started creating these images, these shapes. You can see here. So I started just like playing with what I had with like the typography and colors and seeing how these would look like. The point of these in the beginning, when we didn't have a lot of information about the event itself, the point was to create an environment again, with like using shapes and typography and color and motion. I was trying to create like a vibe so that people could understand how the event would feel like. Like a lot of things that I did were about how the event feels. And so we had like some of these images weren't used. These were it's only placeholders so that we could see what kind of images we could include. And then I was playing with after playing with the word winter here, I was playing with the definition of the theme of the event. The theme was change beyond limits, and so I divided these words, change, beyond, and limits, and started creating some other ideas around these three words. So I began with change, and then you can see here I created what change means, change for the better, change your mind, change your ways, change to improve. And then some synonyms, for example, change, that can also mean to put a vehicle into a different gear, or when the wind changes, or the rise and fall of the sea, like the sea level changing, changing like getting off a train to catch another one, changing behaviors, and then I also did the same with beyond and with limits. And how do I do this? How do I create an environment and a vibe from these visual elements? Well, I can't really explain. It's kind of intuitive. I just experiment with a lot of things. I experiment on Figma, and sometimes when I see something that I did, I'm like, oh, I think this fits the event, so I post it. And then some of these images turned into videos. I looked at the images and I was like, I think this will look good in a video, so I did them on video, and I will later explain how I did some of those animations. For example, I will explain how I did this one, when it's a light flickering over the logo, and here when the wind changes, where you have the wind also flickering like as if it was windy in the photo. I think these are the most interesting and the most simple animations that you can start with if you want to learn how to animate with After Effects. And then, still included in this idea of creating an environment, I created some very interesting videos that generated a very interesting engagement, let's say. And so my idea was the following. I wanted to create something that before the event would make no sense, and then when participants started arriving at the event or at the venues, they would start understanding what I was doing there. So it was like a long-term investment. And so what I did was I went to some of the venues and I created videos of details of the venues, of like the objects and the architecture of the venues. So for example, I went to the hotel, and the hotel had this like chandelier built with bottles, with beer bottles. And what I did was I just made a video of that. Like it doesn't tell anything, it's not a story, it's just a random video of random bottles. The purpose was also to make it hard to understand. Like I didn't want people to understand what it was before arriving to that place and understanding what it is. Or, for example, this bicycle, where you can tell from this video what it is. You can only tell if you go to that place and if you notice that there's a bicycle in the ceiling. And this generates a very interesting engagement because some people saw these videos and they were like, what the heck? And they made some very interesting comments, as you can see here on Facebook. If you go to Facebook and you look, for example, this one, it's a wall in the hotel. They created these videos of, for example, a carpet, a random video of a carpet. Or if you go here to the bicycle, they created a video of the vacuum cleaner. This is very funny. I loved it. Although they were making fun of my work, it's okay. I think it's still a nice way of engaging with the content, and I think it kind of worked in that sense. I didn't hear any feedback of people saying, "Oh, when I arrived to that venue, I realized I understood what you were trying to do there and there." Nobody told me that, but I still think it had a good outcome if it made people interact with it and generated some kind of discussion. Because people were like commenting, what the heck are these videos? The guy is crazy. I'm going to make fun of these videos too. So I think it was nice. Then there were 2 campaigns, besides the one of please buy a ticket to the event. A campaign for the staff team and a campaign for the workshops, the JEE workshops. So the idea behind these campaigns were always to provide value. For the first one, for the staff team, I made videos saying like, hey, these are some testimonials of people that were part of the staff team last year. You can watch it if you want to know how it is to be part of the staff team. So I think it was valuable for people to be able to understand what they can expect and what kind of work they do and what are the memories that stay like 1 year after. What do people remember of that experience? I think that's very important. And then for the workshops, we posted inspiration for the workshop topics, which were like the workshops that were given in 2019, and then ideas for workshop topics. This was also a way of Marianne also influencing and also saying what are the expectations of the topics for the workshops when we posted the ideas. For example, if you go here to ideas for your workshop, like sustainability, marketing, social media, networking, university, human resources, data, finance. This was also a way of saying, hey, these are kind of the topics that we are expecting. This is also something that you can teach if you know about this at the Winter Conference. And then tips from 2 people that hosted workshops in 2019. We asked them to give a couple of tips that they thought could be useful for people who are going to host a workshop in 2020. And then when the venues were closed, we took pictures of the venues and posted them announcing this is the venue for X and Y. This is the hotel, this is the opening ceremony venue. I went there and took the pictures myself of the venues because this way I would have bigger and better quality photos instead of just Googling them on Google. Googling them on Google, yeah. And also the photos will look similar, which in the big picture, in the whole system, it will look better if photos are similar. Now, let's see how I made the animations in After Effects. So, open After Effects. So we'll start with this one. I think this one is the easiest one between those 2. When the wind changes, this is the file that I used. I'm going to create another one and go step by step. I'm going to do it again step by step so you can see how you can do it yourself. So one thing, if you install software in your computer, it's a good idea to install it in English because it makes everything easier when you want to search for help online, because tutorials are always in English, most of them. So, okay. After Effects is very scary in the beginning. It's not an intuitive software. It's hard to work with in the beginning. It takes a lot of time to understand what you can do with it, but it's a piece of software. So it's amazing the things you can do with it, but it takes a long time to learn. So I'll go slowly on this one. So open After Effects, create a new project, and then go to composition and create a new composition. Name it whatever, let's call it When Wind Changes. Okay, the size here, the duration, you can just go with the default and hit Okay. Now you have a blank, you have a blank or black background. You can create a new background. Go to new, click double click or right click, new and solid, and let's call it background. Make comp size, it's a default. All right. Now let's give it a color. So go to effects. Let's make this bigger. Go to effects and search for fill. Double click, and here you can choose the color of your background. So let's go with the colors of the Winter Conference 205, and now we choose the dark blue. Okay. Okay, so now we are going to insert text. Come up here and click on the T and just draw your text box and type when the wind changes. Okay, you can change the font here. If you don't have this open, go to character. I guess it was wide and medium. All right. Okay, so when you have this, you go to make it centered, go to align, center horizontally and center vertically. Okay. Now we need to add the other two winds, let's say. Okay, then select your layer and click Command D or Control D to duplicate it, and then hit V on your keyboard, and then holding the Shift, move it to the left so you can see what's going on. Okay, and then delete everything and type wind again. And before the wind, just click Shift Enter, so that instead of adding a paragraph, you add a line break, and then move it again, to where you want it to be, and then duplicate this one again and move it to the other side. All right, so we had this one outlined, so we can just change it here. Okay, this is the quarter resolution. This looks bad because to make it faster, if I went full, it looks better, but the program will run slower. We can keep it like this for now. Now, how do we make the wind flicker? It's with an expression. And here is where things start getting a little bit complicated, but it's still easy for now. So let's start with the first one, the one on the left. What we are going to change here is the opacity of this layer. So if you hit T on your keyboard, we're going to open the opacity value here on that layer. You can change here if you move this around, you can go from 0 to 100. What we want to add here is an expression that will control automatically how the opacity value will vary along your composition. To add an expression to the opacity value, press Option on your keyboard and then click the stopwatch. This will automatically show you the expression field. And here, what you do is you're going to write expression. You can start with wiggle, and then it has two parameters, 3 later, but now we can start with 2. And the first is the frequency of the wiggle. So the opacity value will wiggle like woo, and then you can choose how frequent it is and then the amplitude. So we start with the frequency, we can go with 10 for example, and then the amplitude also we can make it 30. Alright, then the original value is 100. So if you have it with the amplitude with 30, it will vary between 85 and 115. So because you can have 115 of opacity, it will go only between 85 and 100. So maybe you want to set your opacity to 80, for example, or 85. So it will wiggle between 70 and 100. Let's see how it looks. So now it is very fast. What I did on the on the other one, I will show you the values. Where is it? Opacity. Okay, it's 2 of frequency, so it's much lower, and 30 of amplitude, still the same. And then there's a third value, which is the detail that it has during the main wiggle. So it will wiggle inside the wiggle. It's like this wiggle that we just created here has like this. Oh, it's easier if we see the graph. Like you can click here to see the graph. Let's zoom in a little bit. So this is how your opacity value is changing over time. Okay? If you want to add, so this is very smooth. This is very like a very smooth line. If you want to, let's reduce the frequency so it's easier to see. All right. If you want to add more details so that it looks more like the winds, I don't know. I wanted more detail. I don't know. Just plain. You add a third parameter, which will be the default is 1. So since I want more detail, I will add a value higher than 1. So let's go with 3, and then we can see here on the expression, it's much more detailed. You can, if we want to see if you want to see better how it works, you can increase the amplitude, for example, to 60. No, didn't help. Did it? Let me see, for example, if you put this to 30. Okay, you can see here in the 30. Okay, so here it's easy to see, like, you see the main wiggle here, like, happening 2 wiggles per second, and then in between this main frequency, you have another frequency that is adding all of these detail to the animation. We don't want that, we don't want it that big, so let's put it back to 30 and 3 here. So now it will look like this, which is what we had in that animation. So now you can just copy this to the other wind option, click, paste, and you're good to go. Let's see how it looks like. It looks like what we had in the video on Instagram. Perfect. Let's go. Let's move to the other one. This one is a bit harder here. Oh, let's close this. I don't want to confuse you. Okay. This one is a bit harder. Why? Because it uses 3D layers and lights and cameras. How do you do it? Very simple. I'm going to show you. So this one, this is a 3D layer. This is like something that has happened in the space and not only in a plane. On a plane? In a plane? I don't know. Let's see on Instagram. It's easier. So where is it? Where is it? Okay. What you have here is a light flickering. Like the effect is similar on what we had in the wind word, but this time is what is wiggling or flickering is the light and not the opacity of that layer. It's kind of the same, but you will see how it works. So, how do you do it? Let's do it again. New composition. Light flickering. Okay. Let's add a new background. Good. Oh, maybe I should do it slower. Okay, new, solid, BG for background, and click OK. Now, we can change again the color of your background. Let's, again, the Winter Conference colors. Okay. Now, we can put something in here. Let's create another text. and let's say that this is the W of the Winter Conference. Okay, oops. Okay, so we are going to have this. Imagine that this is a logo. We can scale it if we want. You can change this. You have two ways of scaling it. You can select it and then go here to character and then just increase the size. Or if you want to increase the size, the scale of the layer, you can select your layer here and click S on your keyboard and then increase the scale of the layer. Okay, this is fine like this. So now, if you see this cube here, this is for 3D layers. If you don't see here, maybe toggle switch here between, okay. But toggle the 3D layer option and hit for the background as well. So now the W disappeared. Don't worry, what is happening is the 3D layers now is messing with the positions of the two layers. So what you do here is select the two layers and click P on your keyboard, so this will bring the position parameter for the layers. What you will do now is, so in a position you have X, Y, and Z. You go to Z and bring it a little bit closer to you. So you type -1, and now you can see the W. Perfect. Now, how do you add a camera? Go to double click here, new, and camera. Don't do anything here, just click OK. You can do, but no need. And now, again, and add light. Okay, here you are going to choose, I think the default is spot, but you are going to choose a point light for this case. You can then play around and see how the other ones work. Okay, all perfect, click OK. And now you can see that the light is here. You can click P on your keyboard to change the pointer. Alright, so you can put it up here or centered. Let's increase the resolution so it's faster. Okay, let's put it in the center as it was in the other video. Okay, now this is in space, so you can see, you can also see if you want, if it is very close to the W or very far away. How do you do it? Go here to active camera and change this to left. So now you are seeing that W and the background from the left, so you don't see anything. It's this line, so you can see because it does have thickness. And then if you zoom out, this is your camera, okay, and this is your light. So you can see that if you want to see a result when you change these, go here and change to 2 views. Okay, this one on the left, change to custom view. Let's change it again to left. And here, let's change it to front, which is our previous view. Okay, let's zoom out on this one. Okay, so this is the light. If I bring it further from the W, you can see like the effects here. If I bring it closer, very close to W, you can see how it influences the look of your main composition. Okay, we can leave it like this, it's fine. Then, how do you make it flicker? So, open here, on this arrow, open again, light options, and then go to intensity. Here you can change the intensity of your light. You can make it lower, or you can make it brighter. Okay, we can keep it at 100. We are going to do the same thing. We're going to have a wiggle for the light intensity. So again, press option, then click the intensity, the stopwatch, and then we are going to have again a wiggle. We can start with 10, 10, so you can see how it looks, and then you work your way to what you want from here, from this point. I think it's better. It's a bit slow to render. Okay, it's wiggling 10 in the intensity, so you can't really see changes. Let's put it 100. this will be way too much, I believe. Okay, this is very slow, but you can see now how it is flickering. Let's see the values that I used on the other video. So I added here my point light and the intensity. So I used 1.5 on the frequency, 30 on the amplitude, and 3 on the octaves. I don't know how to speak English. Okay, but the original value from which it is flickering or wiggling is not 100. In my case, it is 80. If you want to see what it is, what is the original value, you click here and you will see 80, which is a different number from here. This number in red is the number after the expression was applied. So now it is on 69, but the original value is 80. So now let's see how it looks with the same values. It looks pretty much the same now, like how I had in the video on Instagram. So this is it. I hope you like these tutorials. I hope this is something useful for you. I can do more of these if you want. On the next episode, this looks like a series now. On the next episode, we will talk about badges, how I designed the badges, what problems I had, because I had a lot of problems with the badges. It was like an adventure. I will show the badges. So this was my badge. This is an example of a badge of participants. This is a guest, and this is like a dummy or unpredicted guest on the event. Yeah, I will show you how I did this. I will show you how I made 500. Yeah, I'll show you how I made like 500 badges automatically, like how I copied the names on the spreadsheet to this InDesign file, so you can do it yourself. Like, it's faster than typing 500 names on your documents. So I hope you like this, and see you soon.